We believe that a child in the womb is still a child and is a life. And we shouldn't necessarily favor a mother's choice to abort that life over the life of the child that's in the womb.
So I think an issue we have on our side, on the way we talk about abortion on the left, is we have this sort of catty phrase, no uterus, no opinion. And if you're not a woman, then you don't get to have an opinion on abortion. However, we still want you to vote left on the topic of abortion, so we do want your opinion, but not in the public square, but yes in the public square. It's such a bizarre, entanglement. I don't know what the freak it even means, right? So I think we've got to stop saying that as liberals.
But we should stop saying that, but at the same time, we need to understand the consequences of a pregnancy is something that we, as men, we can't ever feel. So we have to understand that when we go into the discussions. So I think there's a little bit of room or charity that we should give to women during these discussions, but definitely just because they are a woman doesn't mean they could be wrong on something.
So there have been parts in life where I've said I'm pro-choice and I'm pro-life because I feel like this is a very complex topic. So I did some history, all right? I looked into some receipts, and here's what I found. For the majority of time, we have not been having this debate on when life begins. In fact, for the majority of time, we've called the baby in the stomach the quickening. And the quickening is the term that has been used for many, many years, which describes the first time the woman feels the kick in her stomach, and that is when she knows the baby is alive. And we didn't start challenging that till the 20th century. So the abortion debate is actually a new debate. We think it's this thing that's been around forever, but not really. We still don't really know what is going on. We don't even have a scientific answer as to when life actually begins. So I think there is a complexity to this topic. I would probably say I do lean a little more pro-life, but I don't really know. No. We got him. Wait.
So I'm leaning more pro-choice for a few reasons. So whenever this argument is brought up about abortion, I think there's a misunderstanding from both sides. Liberals want less abortions, right? So that's where we should, we don't like abortion. We want the numbers to go down. And I think we should work together to try to get those numbers down as best as possible, right? Because let's say we make abortion illegal in the United States completely and outright, that doesn't eliminate the market for abortion.
That's true.
Okay, so that's a really tough part of it, and that's kind of where I decided to flip more on the pro-choice side, is because this will happen either way, and would I prefer it to be safe and regulated, or the free market and
Where
the black
it's,
market
kicking the stomach and other scary things.
Yeah, because we have found in states where they have stricter abortion laws, the Google searches for, I think they're called DIY abortions, where you don't go to a clinic.
Yeah.
There's a huge uptick in how often people Google search of those types of things. And so I would rather, if it's going to happen, I would rather have it safe. I'd rather have it in the first trimester. But overall, we want the number to go lower.
One of the arguments that I see that come from the right a lot that I don't think holds up very well, and that bothered me especially, and I try as much as I can not to use it, is an appeal to the Bible. A lot of the people that get into this debate, it seems, it's a very emotional topic. It gets very heated very quickly. And a lot of times, people on the right, primarily that I've seen, will appeal to the Bible. They'll use some kind of a Bible verse or something like that to prove that God doesn't like abortion or something like that. But the problem with that is that if I don't believe in the Bible, that argument's completely irrelevant. Yeah. And so I feel we don't even need to use the Bible. I think there's other arguments that can be had that in our favor. So I don't necessarily think it's a good idea. While I do agree with some of the arguments that they present, I don't think it's good for public discourse, things like that.
So you guys are kind of pro-choice, kind of pro-life. It's a little bit in between, it seems like. And I'm kind of,
I'm pro-choice.
It is kind of a spectrum, I guess, because it's where do you draw lines, right? There's a lot of different lines that you draw in politics, in this debate, I think, has a lot of that. Because personally, I think if you have sex and you're scared you knocked a girl up, you can go get a Plan B pill just to make sure. I think that's fine. But it's like, technically, is that after it's conceived? Well, technically, yeah, right? So am I pro-choice? I think I'm pro-life, but I think that there are some cases where it's like, immediately after, there are certain layers of protection that I think you should use. And because of this day and age, you shouldn't have to get to the point that you're having a legitimate abortion and having to actually kill the fetus that's been developing in the womb. That's kind of where I'm at.
All right, so a question I have for the right. So you just brought up the morning after pill, right? The Plan B pill. And it's this idea of being against abortion because you're preventing a life, right? You're preventing that life, but it's okay if you use the pill, right? If the life has been conceived, but you can use the pill to take it out, but just not when there's more body parts formed, because theoretically, aren't you still preventing a life each way?
Yeah, you're definitely preventing a life both ways, but one, the likelihood, like the life is more developed. It's closer to becoming a more long-term benefit to our society, right? It's closer to that point. And so I think it just makes sense to me where, the earlier you get on it, the less lifelike it is. And I don't know where to draw that line. That's where it's really tough for me, because once we can define exactly when it is alive, I think we have to draw a very, very strong line. And after that point, it's murder. It's straight murder. But before that, it gets kind of dicey.
So,
Can I respond as well?
Yeah,
I think it's also important to remember that if you have sex with a girl, right, and you think that you got her pregnant, it's possible that she's not pregnant, right?
Yeah,
so if
yeah,
she were
yeah.
to take
That's
the Plan
true,
B,
too.
also it's important to remember that abortion is after the sperm has inseminated the egg and fertilized the egg, that's what becomes a life. Plan B doesn't kill that. It prevents the sperm from fertilizing the egg. So it's different than performing an abortion. Also,
It's more of a block.
So we're
We
all
also-
on the same page. I think we would all be in favor of Plan B.
I think Plan
yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I think
Yeah,
that's
okay.
okay because I don't think it's the
For
same
sure.
thing as killing the life, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
but we have not defined when
When
the
it
life
is.
begins.
I believe the life begins at conception. And so I feel that Plan B is okay because A, it's possible that the egg was never fertilized, like we don't know. And second of all, it's blocking it as opposed to killing what's inside. So, but I personally believe that life begins at conception.
Okay, so one of the problems, you can obviously jump in, but
Yeah.
one of the issues I have is we have this uncertainty on both sides as to when life begins. And so you're saying, I believe it begins at this time, but another Republican could disagree.
Yeah.
So you kind of have this one opinion on a really giant
Yeah.
topic in
Well,
which people are going to disagree
no, I
on
get
even
Yeah,
that.
and let's also maybe take a step back too. So I do think there are going to be all kinds of different opinions about when life begins, and I think every single person in America that has a good heart doesn't want to kill a baby after its life, right?
Yeah.
In their definition, and everybody's definition is different. Like you said, the Republicans are going to have different definitions. The Democrats are going to have different definitions. But looking at it from like a responsibility standpoint, I think is important too. When you make stupid decisions in life, there are consequences, right? And sometimes there are few cases where there aren't stupid decisions that a woman has made.
Yeah.
There are those exceptional cases, but most of the time when women get abortions, it's out of convenience. They're convenience reasons. And so to me, it's difficult, and I'm not a woman, so it's like I almost don't feel like I'm qualified to speak on this, but it's difficult to me to see that a life doesn't have the potential to become something great because a woman wants some convenience in her
Yeah.
own life for the next
Yeah.
few months.
Yeah, or they're like a Syrian.
Along with that though, like when it comes, because you mentioned the idea of like we're all kind of shaky and in different positions.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to a human life, like keeping it or killing it, I say we err on the side of caution
Yeah.
and just say, hey, if there's a possibility that it's alive, let's draw the line there.
Yeah, and life for that mom can get back to normal. Life for that child that's killed will never get to normal.
No, I actually have a response to what you guys have been saying. So one of the things that I think turns on a censor in the mind of liberals is when you talk about the life as a means to an end of success. So I very rarely hear this child is going to become a human being but always more, this person could be successful in life. And to me, that makes it sound more self-serving or more selfish as opposed to this person could become rich on my side as opposed to this is a human being. And I feel like more liberals would be inclined to be more pro-life leaning if we took away the banner of we'll make a lot of money, we'll cure cancer,
Like
we'll
the
be
kid could become
yeah, as
successful.
it's
Yeah.
first, it's just gonna
Yeah,
be
that,
personal.
that
sense,
I,
okay.
I would never jump into that kind of an argument. For me, it's like a human is a human. They're
Yeah,
here to experience,
that.
and I think everybody has something good that they add to the world. Even terrible people have something good that they add to the world.
So everyone here is, for the most part, morally against a convenient abortion.
An easy out at the sacrifice of another life. I think it's
Especially, and how about like if it's close to the date of the actual
definitely,
pregnancy?
yeah.
I think everyone says we're
because
not.
especially at that point, the inconvenience to the mother is way smaller than like at the beginning of the 9 months, right? For the sake of the time of being pregnant, like you take that time factor out of it. She's already been through a lot of it, so it's a lot less convenient to carry out the delivery when you're, let's say, a month from the delivery than when you're 9 months from the delivery, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I meant by the convenience.
Okay, so I think there's a couple things, there's a couple myths that people who get abortions are simply just irresponsible. So one of my frustrations with the argument that women are just being lazy or it's just convenience. First off, okay, it makes more economical sense to take birth control. And so that's what women do. They take birth control. It would not make economical sense to just get an abortion every time you get pregnant.
No, not at all. I
So
agree.
most women are incentivized, at least economically, to take birth control. Okay.
And it works pretty damn well.
Yeah, but also women who end up getting an abortion do report saying that they were consistent for a period of time up until they had to get the abortion. So they might have missed a week, they might have missed a few days. I don't know what exactly it is.
A lack of responsibility.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they were responsible all the way, and it's not. What I'm saying is they're trying. It's
Yeah.
not like they're not trying. These aren't just like lazy people. Like I'll get an abortion, blah 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 blah, because it costs thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and that's not convenient.
So if you're driving a car and you get in a wreck, you weren't wearing your seatbelt, you die. And your ghost says to the cop, "Hey, I wore my seatbelt almost every time except for this time." Does it change the outcome of the situation? No, not at all, not the slightest bit. If you would have worn your seatbelt that one time, it's unfortunate that it happened. But the thing is, you just got to be consistent. There's responsibility there. So if there's 1 week that a girl doesn't take her pregnancy pills, it's and it happens, it's her fault.
I just think your whole frame of the argument would have been different if you could possibly get pregnant, or if
That's
you
true.
did get
That
pregnant
is
in that
true.
situation.
The motion and the question I guess I have, we didn't ask you at the beginning, which we should have. Where do you believe life begins?
So this is why I said I don't know.
Yeah,
I
see.
don't know when life begins because the abortion debate is still new, and I kind of
Yeah.
sometimes wish it wasn't left versus right because we don't really
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
going on.
I respect that, dude. I
Um,
really do.
It seems to me that if a woman is raped, most people agree she should have access to an abortion. Now, there's some people say they shouldn't because that child didn't do anything wrong, but it seems to be meeting in the middle where you find a lot of conservatives and liberals who say, all right, she can. And I think everyone agrees that if the mother's going to die or there's serious risk to her
Yeah,
health, she should
yeah,
have an
and that's
abortion.
very
Right.
rare. That's so rare.
It's very rare. Everything
Especially
else, like you
today.
said, it is more convenient, right?
Yeah.
And we're using convenient loosely, not like it's like, oh, I can't wait to go get an
Well, they're
abortion today.
legitimate reasons.
But yeah,
They're
that's
legitimate
still-
reasons.
Have you
still-
guys seen like there was like the SNL? I can't remember the name of that woman, but the SNL skit was like "Shout your abortion," and then there's like those rallies where these women
They're
come out
literally
and they
proud of
are
it.
proud about their abortions.
But-
I guess what are your thoughts on that?
So
That's a minority.
yeah, most liberals don't do that, right?
Most
right?
people don't even ask
So
to get
so
an
you don't
abortion.
believe like abortions are like something that's like it doesn't matter, like it's totally cool, like go for
I would
it.
say this: how many times have you met a woman face to face and and she's talked about her
I've
abortion?
never met a woman.
Right. It never
Ever.
Okay. No, the topic of abortion is taboo even on the left. People don't let others know that they've had one.
It's a very
because
personal thing still.
yes. So we have to have some sort of charity and understanding that it's not a thing that anyone is very excited to have. It may be someone might try to glamorize it in a video, but most people don't have that perception of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I don't know when life begins. I don't know if we can confidently say hey, this is when it's murder, this is when it's not.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
So black and white.
But do you think we should err on the side of caution then? If there's a chance that it's a life, do you feel like we should take the chance and abort it, or do you feel like let's play it safe?
See,
That's where I would lean.
I mean, I would lean more play it safe. However, then we get into legislation. So what if a woman gets an abortion? Does she go to jail then, right? I'm more interested in how does it play out after, because how it plays out after is going to shape people's
Really
Let's
quickly
hold on,
before
though.
I just
And that might be a
personally,
different video.
personally, I say like the people that are profiting from, like the doctors, I like that was the Alabama law. They're the ones that could get prison time, not the women. So those are the ones that I would think like more likely go after legislation wise. But sorry,
The doctors, you would go after the doctors.
Those
the
who
ones that are
profit- those who
performing
profit
the
and perform.
abortions. Because in the Alabama bill, they said it's illegal to perform an abortion. So if a doctor illegally performs an abortion, he's the one that can go to jail.
I
not
don't
the
think we
woman.
should be in the business of like throwing doctors because.
Well, I don't think we should be in the
If-
abortion
if,
business.
If any doctor has malpractice
Well,
issues, you,
but
you
it's the same
punish
thing.
them, period.
Yeah,
End of
but
story.
I just don't want to see a lot of people with. We don't have doctors just like ready to go. Like they're not. We don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of doctors to like choose from. If we start throwing them in jail,
Well, I think
get a
most
little
doctors
weird.
would respect the law.
Okay,
if you
so I
break
don't
the
think
law,
most,
yeah, there's consequences.
I don't
for
think
breaking the
most.
law.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
So what I'm saying is, if we have, what you're gonna have is doctors leaning on the side of caution so they don't serve prison time, not necessarily what's best for their patient. And that's where I get worried is in that situation, a doctor's gonna see it and be like, you know what? I don't want to go to prison, and so I'm gonna do what is necessary so I don't go to prison. Hold on, let me finish.
All right.
So not necessarily what's best for the woman in that particular case. So I want to trust doctors as medical professionals to know and to be able to assess. But then when we have 99 years of prison time, and that's the Alabama law, weighing over their head,
that's the
I don't
most
want that to be
extreme,
weighing
but
over
that's
their
the
head.
most
my
extreme
question is,
sentence.
what scenario outside of the mother being her life being in danger? What scenario would the doctor say I should definitely abort this baby, but I don't want to go to jail?
Okay, so outside of rape, risk of the mother's health, and incest, I would say that abortion is almost definitely not something we should accept. However,
Game over. Don't let me hang, bro.
Wait. However, when I say accept, I don't then mean we should throw doctors in jail and things like that. I think that might be a different video. What happens? What is the reasonable approach after women do get abortions outside of those three things?
Yeah.
I think that might be a different video, and it'll be a great one.
Yeah.
But I am more on board with the idea that we can have those three exceptions. I think that's reasonable, and after that, those are the weeds. Those are the major weeds.
That's something that like it gets in detail.
And even my very liberal friends are on that or on board with that.
Okay.
There are very few people who are actually pro-choice 100%. There are very, very few people.
So I would say if we had to, create legislation right now, let's try to at least get more of like a range of what's, what we define as like rational choice for an abortion. So abortion, rape, incest, okay? I would say at least first trimester or anything earlier, but anything later is wrong. So we would say somewhere in between the first trimester and like conception.
Okay.
Would you say? So it's somewhere in there. It's either,
that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
yes,
it's either conception. Yeah, but then also I'm just trying to like get like a range of where we're at.
Yeah, so I agree, but I also like to err on the side of being safe. So I would be a little bit more closer to the conception portion than closer.
Well,
to
yeah.
the first trimester.
I think ultimately, when it comes to a lot of these bills, one frustration I have is like what you talked about is it's 1% of whatever cases is rape.
Less than
But
that.
yeah, but here's the deal: somebody in Alabama is going to be raped.
Yeah.
and they are going to be forced to
Yeah,
have that
even
child.
if it's less than 100,
And-
that's a lot of people.
I know, and that's what I'm sad is that the political games will go that far that politicians are knowing that people will
Yeah.
be raped. They will have to be forced.
And
to have the
I
kid.
think it's
That's
important
what
to
I'm
remember
frustrated
that the Alabama bill was specifically targeted at Roe v. Wade.
No, I know, but
And
I'm
so
saying
in order
that's-
to be ideologically consistent and to be able to have a chance to overturn Roe v. Wade, they had to do it that way. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. I'm not sure where I am on the Alabama bill, to be honest.
Well, I know we are in this episode too long, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Give us your thoughts below on abortion. We gave you a lot. We gave you a feast to comment on. Like, share, subscribe. And tune into our next episode that'll come out. We'll do another episode about abortion, and you'll probably get mad at that one too. So this has been good.
Yeah, if you made it this far, honestly, I'm impressed. So